Hello everyone, this is Soviet Bear, and right now my guest Joaquin Flores with me. He has been there on my channel several times. Say hi, Joaquin.
Hello.
Okay, so our subject today is Balkans, the situation in Balkans in general, especially countries like Greece, Macedonia, Serbia, pipelines, um, Turkish stream, and there is a U.S. lobbied pipeline from Azerbaijan via Turkey to Europe. So let's start with the pipelines. I heard that Serbian government actually agreed to join the U.S. lobbied pipeline TANAP from Azerbaijan through Turkey and to Balkans, to Eastern Europe. So what can you say about this?
Well, a lot of it is information war. So the United States basically trying to conjure into existence talk about another competing project, but it's not viable because actually the all the projects that had existed um, had already been consolidated with the development of the Russian-Turkish stream. They had all been consolidated. So to understand how this is kind of like BS that the U.S. is spewing, it's really to like, this is information war, and it's aimed at three distinct groups. It's
Goals.
information war that the U.S. is doing. It's aimed at the public, like what do voters think, what do people think, right? In the countries that are targeted and around the world, like and what people think causes chatter. And another group of people are investors who have to justify investments to consortiums and publicly traded companies that are traded like on the stock market, and then the share owners organizations will say, well, we heard that this is a competing project, so then the stock value of the companies involved in the Turkish Russian project like might suffer some hit if they're unable to dispel the myth. And then the third is governments, so that governments are being targeted, or governments are the subject of the information war as well, because then people pressure governments to behave differently or act differently based upon misinformation and disinformation. So to understand why it's like not really viable or doesn't really exist as a real possible project is that, well, to be real, the U.S. would actually have to list the name of the development companies. Who is involved in this imaginary project? Who? Well, what do we already know? Going back to like 2008, there were two competing projects. There was the Nabucco line and there was the South Stream line. And the Nabucco line held the promise of um, being able to involve the Azeri development project. So in the Caspian Sea was like they decided they were going to expand the production of natural gas, and then there was a consortium built around this. It's called the Shah Deniz II Consortium project, and they were going to basically use the expanded pipelines, expand the volume, and that it only is viable in the context of the Nabucco project, okay? And the Nabucco project also could have connected what's called the Southern Corridor, which is taking gas from like Egypt, from Palestine, Israel, and even possibly Iran through Turkey. So it would actually also, oh yeah, and I forget, through Syria. But Syria wasn't going to allow things with the project. They didn't want the Assad government to benefit from that. And also, the government in Syria wasn't going to allow Israelis to control the Palestinian gas, and so on and so forth. So Southern Corridor is kind of like a project to now put a little bit on pause in talking about the other project. Well, except that the U.S. might think that they can try to broker back in the Southern Corridor into the Nabucco project. But the real question is what happened to the Nabucco project. So basically, like the whole project engineering side had been through the Italians, and the heads of the Italian energy firm involved, the name escapes me at the moment because we're just talking on the fly right now, but his name is, I think, Enno, and he actually said way, like, long time ago that the South Stream project and the Nabucco project, because they basically were the same project and involved many of the same project development firms, ought to be combined. So, like, long story short, when Bulgaria, backed out, was coerced not to do the South Stream project, then finally Russia made the move and agreed with Turkey to go ahead and combine South Stream with Nabucco. But it was Nabucco that allows the expansion for the Shah Deniz 2 gas from Azerbaijan. So trans-Anatolian is Nabucco, which means that it doesn't get to Europe separately than the Russian-Turkish project. You see, you see the volume of gas that can be produced from this, like, relatively small expansion is like less than 4% of the volume of gas which the Russians are going to put through Turkey.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense economically if it's tied to the Nabucco project. You're not going to build a double parallel project to bring in an extra 3 or 4% volume.
But our Turkish stream capacity is 60 with some 60 billion cubic meters gas per year. That's a very good number.
Yeah, the thing is that the total volume that it might exist in the Azeri expansion is only a fraction of the total volume in that Russia can produce. So you can't get a project. You can't get.
Are we talking about maybe 20 billions cubic meters per hour, or even less?
Per year? Per year?
Per year, yeah.
Well, maybe 5.
5.
Yeah. So, long story short, it's not viable. There's no other project. It just talked for the reasons, the 3 targets that I mentioned. But also the other thing is that sometimes they also talked about a trans-Adriatic pipeline. Again, Americans there's no way to get it from Azerbaijan to Italy except through the Nabucco/South Stream, which has been rebranded and compressed together as the Turkish-Russian stream. So here's the thing, is that what's kind of funny is that the Turks and the Russians have no problem, actually, if the Americans want to get involved in this project. And if the Americans want to, like, build basically off of the Turkish-Russian stream from Macedonia, and if they want to build it through Albania or through Bosnia to get to Italy, like, there's probably a piece of the action for them too. I mean, actually, Russian-American trade increased 7 or 8% last year alone, even despite sanctions. So there's a lot of like business who are trying.
I know the reason for this, because Americans, they love profit. They don't care if the European companies suffer because of the sanctions. They don't care about. They don't want to lose their profit, because this is about. This is what America is all about.
Right. There. So that's basically the long. So that's the story, anyway. I mean, that's the inside dirt on that.
Thank you. Yeah. But conspiracy theorists say, oh, the trade between U.S. and Russia increased despite sanctions. That only proves that Russia is also run by Jews and blah blah blah.
Yeah, right.
It's getting so tiresome. I'm tired to explain to people that Russia is the good guys. We are on the good side, good side. But some people I interact with so dumb people on the internet who say that Putin.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Yeah, we shouldn't waste time on them, but it's just getting so tiresome.
Okay, what you do is, like, make the videos that you make, and you're communicating to thousands of people at a time. Don't waste time with, like, micro interactions.
Yeah.
Like, thank your supporters and thank your friends and talk to people who love you, but, like, fuck everyone else. Oh, excuse my French.
Yeah. So, you mentioned Macedonia.
Yeah,
So
Macedonia. So that's
I
another
heard,
piece in the Turkish-Russian stream.
yes, yes, but I heard that it was a subject for a Maidan, or at least a Maidan style attempt, Maidan style coup attempt. So I heard that there is an Albanian minority in Macedonia, and they are the main workforce of this Maidan.
Yes, that both are accurate. In fact, well, they make up between like a quarter or so, maybe a third of the population of
Well, I heard
Macedonia.
about Albanians' ambitions of a great Albania, which includes part of Greece, part of Macedonia, part of Serbia.
Yeah,
So,
that's like a minority of Albanians. I mean, most Albanians are not involved in like expansionist or Greater Albanian project, and but
so,
uh, but yeah, but the minority. I mean, you only need a active vanguard to make things happen. So yeah.
but as I can see, the Maidan in Macedonia is failing. The patriotic forces are prevailing. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that is correct, but it's people should have to remain vigilant on that because the United States will not give up on. They will not give
Or
up.
they will,
Yeah,
or
they
they
will
will
keep
not.
pushing and pushing. So
Yes,
the
they
thing is,
will.
their whole
Yes,
their whole
so
project
true.
depends on pushing. So they'll just try to keep plowing. We remember, like, look at in Syria after September 2014 or September 13, 14 with the chemical weapons shit, remember? And then they didn't succeed. It was Mother Agnes,
Yeah,
like just like it sort of exposed the whole story about the or was it Sister Agnes
mother.
with with the whole chemical weapons thing, and showed it was a hoax and that it wasn't the government that did it. And at that same time, like Russia stepped in and said that they would not allow like any kind of bombardment, any aerial campaign on Syria. And then there was like basically John Kerry. This was like backed off, but they didn't give up in Syria. Then they basically invented ISIS, or they like increased this ISIS al-Nusra ISIS transformation, and then they declared the Islamic State through Saudi Arabia, basically. Long story short, but the point is the United States doesn't give up. So
Yeah,
there will be more in Macedonia. There will be more. They just have to rethink their situation, and the George Soros people by July will have a change of staff. The guy who was in charge of Maidan, so to speak, Color Spring in Macedonia earlier in the year, actually in February, announced his resignation, but it will be effective, I think, this month or next month. So they'll have some fresh. The George Soros, people will have some fresh blood in there, and everything is connected. So the U.S. will increase the pressure point in relation to things in Iran, things in Syria, things in Ukraine, and so forth. So
well,
yeah,
Ukraine is a subject for a separate video.
yeah, of course, right.
So let's talk about Balkans. So basically, I don't think the Maidan will succeed in Macedonia. But let's leave Macedonia and talk about Greece. So as we can see, Cyprus's government is out there trying to fix the situation, and I can see that Greece again missed. Greece has missed a payment of a 5th June payment. So what are they going to do now? This because situation is getting really tough and serious.
Yeah.